a statement victory. The boys down under are taking over at amateur nationals, and one rider is going to get all of us on OnlyFans. What's up, everybody? It's Scotty here with Flat Track Flashback, and I feel like we have hit the busiest week of the flat track season outside of maybe bike week. You just had Lima's in the books, amateur nationals are going on, Quoin is about to happen, the FIM series is going to fire up overseas here pretty soon, and a lot of stuff is happening in the world of flat track right now, and it's a good time to be a fan. We're coming off of probably the most popular weekend of the year in the sport, and that was the Lima Half Mile. And the Mother Nature tried to steal it from us. Jared Mees and the crew at the Allen County Fairgrounds and everybody involved with that, they were able to persevere and get through the whole program and put on a fantastic night of racing for everybody in attendance who braved the weather. A little bit later start to the show because of Mother Nature, but they implemented a shortened program, and I kind of enjoyed it. I personally like the one practice, two qualifying thing as opposed to 2 and 2. And then with the amount of riders that we had in attendance, sacrificing the LCQs didn't feel like a huge loss. So I felt like Jared and his team did a great job of adapting and sort of switching up the program a little bit to make sure that they got everything in. Lima is an amazing race to watch as a fan, but it was one that kind of if you've never watched flat track before, I do see where like a newer fan, it might be difficult for them to get excited about it because that kind of surface does require a lot of prep between each race. You do need to drag it and do a little bit of prep work there, so the program does tend to drag on a little bit longer than others, but man, it's so exciting. And once you get over that hurdle, and for me it took probably a couple of years, but once you get past that and just really embrace what's happening on track, and what they're able to accomplish, getting those surfaces dialed in and making it safe and fast for everybody. It's so fun to watch. It's truly poetry in motion watching these riders feet up, coming off the corner, throw and roost. And then Lima, you can just run so many different lines. Everybody's all over the track at all times. I mean, very exciting racing for me as a fan. Now, I've never raced before, and Lima would be the last place that I would probably want to start racing. So such an intense track, such an intense event, and what a night of racing we had. We're going to kick things off in the singles class and talk about how all the drama played out in that. In the singles class from the jump, it was clear that Tom Drain meant business on this night. And Tom has been really good at Lima. You know, he debuted here in 2022, ran second last year, led some of the race, but finished second to Cody Kopp, and looking for redemption. You know, maybe third time's a charm for Drain at Lima, and looking to stop Cody's win streak on the season that is at 3 in a row entering Lima. And Tom has been really aggressive here lately, and back at Bridgeport, he was going for it, but just couldn't quite pull off the win. Cody got the better of him out there, and what is still the race of the year, but from the jump, Tom was quick, and he was turning lap times in the 25-second bracket and was faster than the Twins riders out there on that Estenson 450. And Tom, it was interesting to watch some of his lines. He was able to keep the bike lower on the track than a lot of guys. A lot of the riders riding sort of the middle and closer to the top. Not quite up by the air fence, but Tom was able to keep speed up down low during practice, and figured that might be something that was going to pay off as the night went on. In that first singles heat race, it looked like Tom was going to have an easy go of it. He gets out front, starts riding away. Everybody else is settling in behind him. Cody Kopp there in second, James Odd in third, Shayna Texter-Bauman running in fourth. A lot of dicing going on behind Shayna for those last few transfer spots. And unfortunately, a rider making his debut, Colby Giomori, goes down in turns 1 and 2 while he's running in a transfer spot, and that forces a restart. And at the same time Colby went down in 1 and 2, Cody Kopp had quite a moment going into 3 and 4 where he almost lost the bike on entry there. They restacked the field, and on the restart, it gives Cody another chance to get right there behind Tom, and those two would have a absolute dogfight, a war throughout the rest of this heat race, just slicing them past each other and really going after it. And in the end, it looked like Tom had Cody covered going into 3 and 4 on the final lap. It looked like he was blocking well, but Cody was able to find an angle and get underneath Tom coming off of turns 3 and 4 and wins that drag race to the line. And once again, able to best Tom, this time in a heat race at Lima. Behind them, just chaos. At one point, Shayna Texter-Bauman, who's a former 2-time winner at Lima in the singles class, she was running third, but right after that restart, going into 1 and 2, just one rider came right across the front of her, threw a bunch of roost up, and just Shayna ended up getting lost up in that battle for fourth on back. She was able to hold on for a transfer spot, but really seemed to sap the energy from a good run that she had going in that heat race. Again, Cody and Tom moving on to the dash, your usual suspects. Once again, these two guys are just Them and Chase Sadoff, who we're going to talk about here in a second, like it's just they're a class above everybody else. It's them, and then there's a gap. It feels like to the rest of the pack at this point in this singles clash. It's those three, the standard bearers up front, and really gatekeeping that podium for everybody. We mentioned Chase, heat race 2. Chase gets the lead, and he's gone. Just leaves everybody. But the battles again behind him. Evan Renshaw's able to get in the second, and then Aiden Roos-Evans and Trent Lowe are in a battle for third. Them dicing back and forth, I think, helped a little bit to keep Evan secure in that second spot. Evan Renshaw would end up going on to the dash out of this heat race as well, his second dash of the season. But yeah, Trent and Aiden just duking it out. At one point going down the back straightaway, they're so close when Aiden goes to rip a tear off. It looks like his arm's going to hit Trent, and then later in the race, an aggressive move by Trent to get by Aiden into third. And these two had a brief exchange after the race, but nothing too dramatic. Just hard racing, close racing, as is the norm in this singles class. But excited to see Evan Renshaw have a solid run and be able to get into another dash. Again, not the week he wanted at all last week in Bridgeport. Not able to finish that race. And Evan trying to get that real like statement night under his belt for his rookie season. They've been struggling with a lot of things, as Corey Texter alluded to on Tank Slapping Podcast. But Evan Renshaw ran really well at Lima in 2023 during the amateur day, and is off to a strong start on his night getting into the dash. And then onto the dash, we talked about Cody and Tom and Chase being just a level above everybody. And these three dudes are gnarly riders. AFT needs them on every single promotion tool that they have, because these three guys could put butts in seats, at least I think. Just what a show that they put on every time they're out on the track. And this dash was no different. We figured these are going to be the three guys looking for the win in Lima. And these guys went after it. Renshaw fading a little bit, wasn't able to quite keep pace with the leaders. And at one point, or eventually, Tom and Chase were able to gap Cody a little bit and sort of settle this on their own. And they had quite the battle coming down to the finish line on the last lap. And Chase, he's had a lot of success in these dashes from Dallas through Silver Dollar. He'd won 3 straight. And here he's looking for another one on the year and just couldn't quite get to Tom at the line. Drain ends up edging Chase Sadoff for the dash win by just 5/1000ths of a second. Super tight there. But Tom showing speed, showing aggression, and looking to get that first Lima win on the night. Singles main event, who's it going to be? Is Cody going to be able to keep that win streak going, or is Tom Drain going to get his first Lima win? Is Chase going to get that second win on the year? Could we see a surprise maybe from another rider in the pack? As we get off the line, Drain makes a big move to get ahead of everybody, and man, that clear vision, that clear visor, super valuable in Lima. Huge for Tom to get out front early while the field settles in behind them, and Chase and Cody get into those last couple of podium spots. And a couple minutes into the race, about 6 minutes left, it looks like Chase was starting to gain on Tom and close the gap, make a charge on him. But just a moment in 1 and 2, actually on the exit of 2 for Chase. Looks like he got up in the fluff and bike stepped out on him a little bit, allows Tom to pull away a little bit, and Chase never really recover from that. He kind of fell into the clutches of Cody Kopp, and Cody was able to get around Chase and make it pretty easy, not an easy move necessarily, but was able to get past Chase and didn't have a whole lot of resistance. Chase not able to get back to him and make a move back for second. Cody's able to get away from Sadoff and start trying to chase down Tom Drain. And as we get toward the 3 minute to go mark of the race, you see Cody, he's determined, he's doing his chicken wing thing. And, he rides an orange bike, so they should probably just reach out to Hooters and see if they can get a sponsorship there. Cody charging on Tom Drain, and gets right up behind him, gets on his rear wheel, and looks like he's going to have a chance to steal this win. And a little mistake coming off of 2 again, but then a mistake by Tom on the same lap. And around this time, we see it looked like Terrence Santero down in turns 3 and 4. And I don't know why a red flag wasn't thrown here, but because Terrence was in a very dangerous spot. And I know he's getting off the track, and Terrence was able to get up and rejoin the race eventually. But if you go back and look at the footage, like, he's in a very precarious position. And I was shocked to see a red flag not come out in that scenario. I guess they felt like he was low enough on the track and was moving to get out of the way, but it wasn't like Terrence was up on his feet and running off the track. He was down on all fours and was just crawling over to his bike pretty slowly. And even with the yellow flag out, if somebody's running really low down there, I mean, he could have clipped him. It could have been really bad. So that decision to not red flag that race kind of surprised me a little bit. I'm not sure I agree with that call, but nonetheless, the battles continue up toward the front. Cody's still chasing down Tom Drain as they're battling through lap traffic, and Cody just seemed to catch lappers at the wrong time. Tom was able to navigate lap traffic a little bit better than Cody was and get through sort of the battles that were going on deeper in the field. There's riders racing for position back there, even though they're getting lapped by the leaders. They're still battling for spots, but Tom gets through lap traffic a little bit cleaner than Cody could, and Cody just runs out of time. And so Tom Drain finally breaks the string of runner-ups at Lima, gets his first win, ends Cody's win streak at Lima, ends Cody's win streak on the season. That's going to be big for the Estenson team as they're heading into a mile coming up next, where Tom has proven to be really, really, really strong. Cody hadn't even mentioned, Tom's able to pull them a little bit on the straightaways there at Lima, and we know how the miles are with big long straightaways. I think it's going to play into Tom's strengths, but we'll talk about Quoin later on in this show. So yeah, Tom gets the win, bests Cody, and then Chase Sadoff comes home in third. We see the usual suspects there in the top 5. As we can go ahead and throw the results up there. Trent Lowe, James Ott finish up the top 5. Your top 5 riders in points, not in the order they are in points, but still those 5 in the top 5. Evan Renshaw hangs on for a 6th place finish, equaling his best of the season. Reese Evans comes home 7th. And as you go back through the rest of the results, unfortunate night. I was surprised to see Justin Jones and Shayna Texter-Bauman that far down, 16th and 17th in the main event. Thought they could have pretty decent nights ahead of them. We mentioned Shayna getting bogged down in that heat race battle after the restart. So just unfortunate to see them so far back. And now as we look ahead into the points, Cody effectively held serve. He was 33 ahead of Chase coming into Lima. He goes out of Lima, still 32 points, this time ahead of Tom Drain, who's able to leapfrog Chase into second. And these riders still over a full race behind Cody Kopp at this point. They do have opportunities to close in. We'll see what the next few rounds hold, but Cody has just been so strong early in the season, really left quite an uphill battle for those behind him to close in on this championship. Trent Lowe, James Ott round out the top 5. And then there's a fun battle shaping up for 6th in points between Travis Pettin, Terrence Santero, Tyler Raggio, Logan Eisenhard, and Evan Renshaw, the leading rookie, enters the top 10 again. And those 6 riders, as you see, only separated by 13 points. A lot of movement's going to happen, I think, in this part of the field throughout the point standings as we head into the rest of the year. Now with the twins class, just how Tom Drain made a point to be super fast in practice and qualifying for the singles. Dallas Daniels, the twins rider for Estenson, yeah, he made a statement as well. Half a second faster than Jared Mees out of the gate. And this was a little bit of a surprise. I figured Dallas would probably be in the top 3 in practice and qualifying, but I thought Jared and Brandon Robinson would be the ones to best him early on. And Dallas just making a statement out of the gate. But that being said, practice times don't matter. Qualifying times do. And it would be Brandon Robinson who would get fast time overall. And Brandon Robinson and Dallas Daniels were the only 2 riders to enter that 25-second bracket in qualifying. So they would be your pole sitters for the heat races. Notably absent from this race, Trevor Bruner. They talked about it on the broadcast. He was part of a test that took place after a RPM race at Lima. And riders are not allowed to have private test sessions at tracks, which unfortunately led to Bruner being suspended for this round. And that's really unfortunate for the leading rookie in this class. Of the top rookies in the division, you've got Bruner suspended this round. Max Whale still recovering from injury. So Declan Bender would have to hold the torch pretty much for the rookies here in this class as far as the guys who have been at every round and competing for that Twins Rookie of the Year honors. Also, no Billy Ross in the house. Billy Ross had that near podium finish at Middletown, but we didn't have Billy at Lima. We did have a returning singles champion in Ryan Wells, so good to see Ryan Wells back at the track. And also a rider making a really impressive run in practice and qualifying would be Chad Coase on that Indian. Chad got back to the Twins class at Bridgeport, and not the night that he wanted there for sure, but looking really strong early on as he gets 6th overall in qualifying. Moving into the heat races for the Twins class, Heat 1, boy, it was stacked. You had every single winner in the Twins class at Lima dating back to 2016 in this one heat race. So Jared Mees, Brandon Robinson, and Briar Bauman all in the same heat race. And go figure, they would be the guys that got to the front and gave the fans quite a treat. Jared, great start here, gets the whole shot. Brandon Robinson, after being fast time, falls back to 4th early on, but is able to work his way up into 2nd. And Brandon showed a nose on Jared on that final lap, but couldn't quite make the pass. Looked like he had to kind of bail out of it. And almost lost the spot to Briar Bauman there on the last lap of that heat race. Briar was up there flirting with the air fence in turns 3 and 4. trying to get everything he could out of that KTM, but couldn't quite get by Brandon. So Jared gets the win. Brandon Robinson falls into second, gets into the dash. And seeing Jared's interview after this heat race, it looked like a completely different person from the Jared that they talked to after his heat race win in Bridgeport. Much happier, much more confident. And that could be a dangerous Jared Mees if he's back to feeling 100% himself. And even though Jared has not won Lima since 2019, you can't count him out at this track. He's won there 5 times, promotes the event. So you definitely can't count out Jared Mees, especially when he's feeling good on the bike. As you move into heat race 2, Chad Coast got a great start, but man, he got absolutely blinded coming off of turn 2, and it really kind of ruined the race for him. Like exiting 2, visor just gets filled with roost as Dallas Daniels is making the pass for the lead, and that really put a wrench into Chad's plans in that heat race. And Dallas gets out front, and he is just flying. When you look at Dallas on the broadcast and watching him race, it reminded me of when Brad Baker won Lima in 2015, where you just see somebody who just looks so much better, so much more settled, just so much faster than everybody else. And I remember Brad just dominating that day race at Lima in 2015. And Dallas, when we're watching him, he's just so settled on the bike, so smooth, so fast. He checked out in this heat race. Nice little battle behind him between Davis Fisher and Brandon Price. Fisher's able to hold on and get into the dash. In the dash, Jared Mees, another great start, gets out front early, but Robinson just too strong on in this particular race. I mean, he gets up beside Jared Mees. They're side by side for a little bit, but Robinson's able to get past Jared and ride away a little bit. As they're going into 1 and 2 early on, Dallas found a gap, and I have no idea how he was able to place his motorcycle there and not wipe anybody out, but he found room and was able to get past Jared in 1 and 2. And we're used to seeing Jared and Dallas throw aggressive passes at each other. So add another one to the list, add another tally to the number of those two throwing bombs at each other in their battles. Robinson holds on and gets his second dash in a row, and Brandon was able to parlay a dash win at Bridgeport into a main event win. And so main event time. Bad time for Jared Mees to get a bad start too. He'd been whole shot earlier in the night, but he doesn't get the whole shot in this main event, and Dallas Daniels does, and that would spell bad news for everybody behind him. As the field is sort of working themselves out coming off of turn 2, Briar Bauman slides past Davis Fisher into 4th. Looked like Davis tried to cut back and get underneath him, get out of the spray, and he nearly collides with Brandon Price in front of the field. And those two may have brushed each other, no major contact, but still a scary moment in front of the pack. And all while that's going on, Brandon Robinson says, "Hold my beer." And as he goes into 3 and 4, trying to get a tear off, hits that little hole that's in 3 and 4 at Lima. His arm goes over the front of the handlebar. Nice little tire tap, it looked like, but great save by B-Rob there going into 3 and 4. But this would be about the last time that these guys would be anywhere close to Dallas Daniels, because early in the race, he lays down a 25.2 second lap time, and Dallas would be faster than the rest of the riders by half a second or more at times throughout this race, just making a statement. He's checked out. He's lapping people by the halfway point of the race. And look, Dallas goes on to dominate this race. There's not a whole lot to say. Everybody kind of settled into their positions. We had a little bit of a late race battle between Brandon Robinson and Jared Mees that sees Jared get the better of Brandon Robinson. And, earlier on, Davis Fisher gets by Briar Bauman back into 4th, but they kind of just held serve right there for the most part. Not a whole lot going on toward the front of the pack. And like we said, Dallas was gone. His margin of victory, 6.5 seconds. That's a full second better than his previous largest margin of victory, which was Middletown. And at one point in this race, Dallas had an over 7-second lead. He just absolutely dominated this race. And it looked, if it's not his most impressive win of the year for anybody out there, I mean, to me it was. It definitely seems like it was one of the most special to him. So much emotion coming out of Dallas at the end of this race as he's on his cool down lap. And he talked about it afterwards. There's just races that you really want to win, and Lima's one of them. And not a bad place to get your 10th career win. And just a absolute statement made by Dallas to dominate this race. He'd been runner-up 2 years in a row, and that streak is over. So Dallas Daniels gets the win. We talked about Jared goes into second over Brandon Robinson in third, Fisher in fourth, and Briar Bauman once again off the podium the year after winning Lima. That's been the trend for him. In 2017, he won. 2018, off the podium. 2021, gets the win. 2022, off the podium. 2023, gets the win. 2024, Briar Bauman, unfortunately, off the podium. Looking back through the rest of the top 10 here, Dalton Gauthier comes home 8th. He was the last rider on the lead lap in this race. But another top 10 for Dalton on the Royal Enfield. And good night for Chad Coase and Cameron Smith, both picking up top 10 finishes. And while Declan Bender is the only full-time rookie out there, how about Logan McGrain? A 12th place finish, his best on a Super Twin. Logan effectively a rookie in the Super Twins class this year, and a great ride for him to come home 12th. We mentioned Dallas set that 25.2 lap time, and being over half a second faster than Mies and Robinson at several points in the race, at one point almost a full second faster than them. Now, this is the average lap times for the Twins class in that main event at Lima. Dallas Daniels averaging a 26.0. After that, Jared Mies the second fastest with a 26.3. So Dallas's average is nearly 0.3 faster than second place on average. Brandon Robinson 26.3, Davis Fisher 26.4, Briar Bauman 26.5. Dallas was absolutely cooking during this race. And with that, he pushes his lead to north of 20 points over Jared and Brandon, who are battling back there for second place. And Briar and everybody else are kind of falling off here in this championship. And now coming into Lima, I didn't feel like it was a must-win for Mies. However, now I feel like Jared definitely needs to get a win soon, because Dallas he's riding this wave of confidence. And ever since coming back from the West Coast trip, ever since we've hit this, early summer stretch with Middletown, Bridgeport, and Lima, even though Brandon Robinson got the best of Dallas Daniels at Bridgeport, Dallas has looked like he's been on another level from everybody else. Again, he won Middletown by north of 5 seconds, wins Lima by north of 6, almost gets the better of B-Rob in Bridgeport. So 2 wins in a second and 2 dominating wins for Dallas. And he's beaten Jared Mies in every single round of this stretch. So now it's getting to the point where Jared's going to have to pick up a win. Behind those guys in the points, we got a fun little battle shaping up for 5th with Brandon Price still hanging on to it, but Jared Vanderkooi and Davis Fisher only 5 points behind, or only 5 points separating those 3 riders in that race for 5th in the Super Twins points. So we're heading to the first mile of the year. We're heading to Quoin, and like we said, it's becoming a must-win for Jared Mies, and a mile could not come soon enough for this rider, who has got north of 20 wins on an Indian on a mile. He's got 27-mile victories to his career, and looking to add another one there at the Magic Mile in Quoin, where he did win last year. And Jared and Brandon Robinson both got the better of Dallas Daniels in 2023 at Quoin. Jared also 4-mile wins last year. The only one that he was bested at was the last round at Springfield. So Jared beat Dallas at every mile last year. And Jared and Brandon need to do what they did last year at Quoin and get ahead of Dallas. They got to slow this momentum if they want to get back into the championship fight. And luckily for Jared, he's also been the guy who has won the last race before the breaks on this season. Not counting Daytona to Sonoy because it was just a week off. But from Sonoy to Texas, we had almost a month off. Jared won that race in Sonoy. From Silver Dollar to Middletown, we had almost a month off, and Jared won that race in Silver Dollar. So we've got a few weeks off from Quoin to Peoria. So can Jared get another win heading into the break and try to slow some of the Estenson team's momentum? He certainly needs to make it more interesting in the points, but maybe there's other factors that could play into it again. Briar Bauman, the last rider to win on a mile when he won the season finale there at Springfield last year. So could Briar possibly pick up his second win of the season and maybe play spoiler for some of these guys, or even get in between Dallas and someone else to either it's either going to benefit Dallas or maybe hurt him in this championship. Going to be fun to see how that mile plays out there in Quoin. Such a super fun and fast place to watch. I actually personally prefer watching racing at Quoin over Springfield, just a personal preference of mine. Moving into the singles class as we head to Quoin, well, you got to figure Tom Drain's going to try to keep this momentum going. Tom did win in 2023, and last year that singles race was something else. I mean, the singles on the miles is just wild in general, but Tom Drain got the better of the class in Quoin there last year, and the top 5 was barely separated by 1/10 of a second as they came across the line. And Tom's coming off of 3 wins on miles in 2023, but Trent Lowe and Cody Cobb were able to steal mile wins as well. Cody Cobb last year in Quoin was 5th, and Cody has not finished any worse than 4th on the season this year. So Cody will be looking to improve on that. And as we look at the average finish for our top 4 in points on miles last year, you look at Tom Drain, like we talked about, 3 wins, average finish of 1.6. Chase Sadoff, we're going to talk a little more about him in a second, average finish of 2.4 on the miles last year. Trent Lowe, a 4.0, Cody Cobb, a 5.0. as we head into the miles. You got to figure the Turner bikes are going to be looking sporty. Trent actually stronger earlier in the year on the miles, picked up that win at Red Mile and was super competitive there in Quoin and Sacramento, but really struggled there in Springfield, finishing outside the top 5 in both of those races. And then Cody was 10th out in Sacramento, which definitely affected his average there. But we mentioned Chase Sadoff, average finish at 2.4, and Chase had some heartbreaks on the miles last year. So he'll be looking to avenge that. Combined in the 5 miles that we contested last year, Chase's margin of defeat was a total of 0.2 of a second, 0.271. At Sacramento, he finished third by 36 one-thousandths of a second. At Red Mile, he was the runner-up by 89 one-thousandths of a second. At Quoin, runner-up by 11 one-thousandths of a second. Springfield third by 92 one-thousandths. And then Springfield the second day, runner-up by 43 one-thousandths of a second. Just how close can you get? I know Chase was super frustrated at Quoin last year. It was a race that really meant a lot to him, given stuff that was going on in his personal life outside of racing. And Chase is going to be looking for redemption there this year. And Chase has looked so fast on these miles. And if he can put it all together, I would actually put Chase as the #1 challenger against Tom on these miles. But they've got to figure out how to play the drafting game and get the better of Estenson, that Estenson 450, that Yamaha, and Tom's ability to get small and get the better of them in the draft. Again, we saw Trent Lowe got the better of him at Red Mile, and Cody was able to get the better of those guys in Springfield. So can somebody slow down the momentum there? With Cody Kopp, he, like Jared Mees, has won the race before the breaks. Winner in Sonoy before the month off, winner in Silver Dollar before the month off. And Tom and Chase got to make up ground fast. And this is an opportunity for them to try to close a little bit. But if Cody can steal a mile win, boy, these guys are definitely going to be hurting going into the off weeks before Peoria. So we just previewed the Quoin round for AFT, but there's a lot of racing going on in Quoin this week. It's Amateur Nationals week, and day 1 can be summarized in 2 pages. Bodie and Jake Page dominating day 1 out there. Bodie picks up 4 wins, 450 mod open heavyweight, 250 open singles, 450 production. Younger brother Jake Page picks up the 250 production and 250 mod class. And another rider that trains and works with Corey Texter a lot, Megan Grimmel, gets the win in the women's class. So a full sweep for Corey and some of the riders that he helps out with. You know, in like tennis, for instance, you've got people who go to these academies and train with coaches to become great pros, and then you've got pro riders in like Supercross who train at the Baker Factory. So is Corey Texter becoming the Flat Track Baker Factory? Some riders who were favorites to be Horizon Award contenders: Walker Porter, Cage Tadman, James Arnaz, just to name a few. Looking through their performances on the day, Walker Porter did pick up 3 podiums on the day, but also had to settle for 7th. And then how about Carson King? Top 5s across the board, 3 podiums for him. Cage Tadman also top 5s throughout the day. We then transition into day 2, which was the youth and the vet half mile, and we see Beckham Daniels gets 2 runner-ups and a 3rd. Drew Eldred was an 85 mod winner and picked up a runner-up spot in 65 production and 1st in the 65 modified class. Odin Music picked up a win in the 50cc class. George Holmquist, 65cc production winner, 2nd in 65 mod. A lot more variety here in this class. It wasn't so much dominated by one rider. But Colton Schaefer with a win in the Super Mini, 2nd in 85 mod, but then DNFs in 85 production. And then another Australian who had been really strong, Jed Fife, who was 2nd in Super Mini, but picks up 2 wins in the 85 class. Talked about Corey Texter. Well, his kid Cruz gets 2nd in the 50cc chain class, but gets 2 wins in the shifter and the PW 50 class. As the amateurs continue on to the TT in day 3, well, the mates down under are still up top. And I don't know if that was a great Australian accent or how it's going to play. If it sucked, sorry, guys. But a new Australian rises to the top on this day. But it's one, while it's a new winner on the week, it's a rider that we've definitely heard of, and another brother of a fast rider. Well, Sam Drain gets 2 wins in the 250 class and then comes home 3rd in the open singles class. And these Aussie brothers are really coming to take over here on the States during this week. You know, Tom Drain started the parade at Lima on Saturday, and Bodie and Jake Page picking up wins at Amateur Nationals. Sam Drain picking up wins at Amateur Nats. So big week for Australia here in the States. great to see Flat Track, really picking up steam down there. Of course, Maxwell, super talented. Even before Max, we had riders like Mick Kirkness, for instance, who would come over here and be really competitive. But you're seeing a lot of Australian riders really rise to the top level of the sport right now. And it's really exciting to see this coming Flat Track getting international. With Sam Drain's 2 wins, obviously he's able to unseat Jake Page in those 250 classes. But with that, we'd had Australian lockouts in the 250 class podium because Jed Fife was able to get up there on the podium in those classes as well. And they had swept the podium in the 250 ranks on these first couple of days, but Jack Brooks is able to sneak in there and get a runner-up spot to break up the Aussie party there in the 250 class. But as we mentioned, the Page brothers, not done. Bodie, 3 more wins on the day. A crash in 450 production would end his win streak. So the clean sweep of the week is off, but still 7 out of 8. Not so bad, Bodie. The rider who would pick up the win with Bodie's misfortune would be James Arnaiz, who gets the win and also had a couple other top 5s on the day and a runner-up spot on that day. Carson King, who had a strong performance thus far throughout the Amateur Nationals, picks up a couple more runner-up finishes on the weekend. It's really been about the Page kids and Carson King. James Arnaiz really consistent up there as well. So fun little battle developing with all of those riders. We did mention Jake Page, who picked up 2 more podiums in the 250 class, 9th in open singles. Jed Fife, who we touched on briefly, 4th and 3rd in the 250 classes. And again, Megan Grimmel picks up a win in the women's class again. As we're recording this, they're in the middle of the amateur or the youth and the vet TT racing in Quoin. So far, as that's going on, we've seen Jed Fife pick up 2 more wins in the 85 class, 4th in the Super Mini class, where Colton Schaefer got the better of him, and Colton Schaefer 2nd and 3rd in the other 285 classes. Jet Katarzy's picked up 3 podiums on the day. Cruz Texter has picked up another win in the PW class. Adam Bedelga and Dave Tayo have swept their racing as well. So Wednesday night, we're recording this on a Wednesday, but Wednesday night is the amateur short track. Hopefully be able to walk through who picked up championships on the weekend next week when we're recapping the Quoin Mile as well as the ending of Amateur Nationals. So it's been a lot. We got one more topic to touch on, and that's, I didn't have a subscription to OnlyFans thanks to a Flat Track rider in my bingo card this year, but Sammy Halbert's got the OnlyFans sponsorship, and he's heading back to Europe to try to bring home the FIM championship this year. So we'll post a link in the video description below where you can subscribe to Sammy Halbert's OnlyFans. Again, not something I thought I would be able to say this year, but yeah, you can support Sammy on his journey. He's going to be posting exclusive content to OnlyFans, and OnlyFans has sponsored MotoGP riders, Joe Roberts and that American racing team over in Moto2, and man, heartbreaker for Joe, who's been a real strong contender in the Moto2 class before the broken collarbone that he suffered there in Assen. So OnlyFans been helping out the American guys get overseas and dice it up and be competitive. So Sammy, the next in line, and we'll be wishing him luck as he starts his FIM Championship Tour on July 20th. Again, we'll put the link below where you can subscribe and follow along with Sammy's racing content. Only Slams, I believe, is what he's calling it. So yeah, again, didn't think I would ever get an OnlyFans account. I've been able to avoid the temptresses of that app, but I guess Sammy's gonna get us on board. Thank you all so much for watching. Appreciate the support on the channel. It really does mean the world. I got to give another huge thank you to Corey Texter and Eric Hartley with Tanks Life and Podcast for shouting us out on one of their recent episodes. This is they know all too well how much effort goes into putting on these shows and creating these kind of longer form talking shows about flat track racing, where we're so starved for it in this sport, and those guys are at the top of the game. They have truly put together something special there with Tanks Life and Podcast. So it means a lot to know that, hey, they check us out. Because I suck at this, but we're trying. And so, hey, if any of you guys are ever interested, hit me up. I'll tell you the easiest way to get started on doing your own YouTube show or podcast for flat track racing. You can do it with your cell phone, and you can do it with these Amazon mics. Anything that we can get going helps. It's been cool to see a little bit more content coming out of the riders at the track. Sort of recapping things in video form. Jared Mees was always really good about that. And it's been cool to see more riders sort of follow sort of his blueprint and his template for just a little bit more content on their social channels. In Sean Dillon Kelly's interview on Pipe Dreams podcast, he talked about how vital social media is for your sponsors and your own brand, and really just pushing that. If you're a rider in the sport and looking to grow your brand and get more attention out there, and we definitely need more of that in flat track. Try to get some more video stuff, guys, not just the pictures and the race recaps. Try to tell us in a video form maybe about your race recap instead of typing it up. Just a thought, just something I'm spitballing out there. But again, yeah, huge thanks to Corey and Eric with Tank Slapping Podcast. Huge thank you to Scotty Dubler with Off the Groove and all that he does and how consistent he's been able to be with getting shows out there every weekend. Scotty's out there at Amateur Nationals, so I'm sure he's going to have a lot of great insight when it comes to recapping that event and being able to be part of that. He was also at the Pushing the Cushion event with Robbie Bobby the day before the Lima Half Mile, so I'm excited to see what all comes out of the next Off the Groove episode. And again, yeah, excited to see what's coming with Sammy Halbert and the FIM flat track stuff coming up. There's a lot going on in flat track right now. There's a lot of topics that I want to get into, but we're going to save those for when we hit the off weeks after Quoin, just to have a little something to chat about. This has been a long one, and thank you guys so much for supporting this channel. Thanks for hanging out and listening along as we've gone through all this and talking about Lima. So truly, it means the world to see more than one view on these videos. The fact that more than one person checks this out, because I have to watch it to make sure I didn't totally screw up everything, even though editing and watching it over and over again, I don't know, I'm tired of hearing my voice, and I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing my voice at this point as well. So let's wrap this up. Enjoy the rest of Amateur Nationals if you're out there competing. Best of luck to all the riders out there chasing wins and championships and the Horizon Award. Best wishes to all the riders competing at Quoin this weekend. Looking forward to that first mile. And everybody, I hope you have an enjoyable 4th of July. If it's a long weekend and you're carrying this through, have a fantastic time. Stay safe out there and enjoy the celebrations. Just, again, be safe, everybody. Love each other. And thank you all so much for checking this out. We'll catch you next week. Peace.